Hi guys, today's movie you don't hate. Hi guys, I'm Terrence.
I'm Annie.
Alright, and today's movie on You Don't Hate is the infamous, I guess, is the X-Men Origins Wolverine. So, one of my favorite movies. It's on my top 5.
It is on your top 5. It's actually number 4.
Yeah, it's on my top 5 comic book films. I love this movie, even with its flaws. I love this movie, and I'm really anxious to talk about all the great things that go on in this movie that way overshadow the minor flaws that are in this movie. I think when people saw this movie, they harped on one of the major things with this movie. It made them hate the movie, and I don't think you really hate it, because if that part had not been there, I think this would have been one of the movies that people would have talked about going forward as one of their favorite comic book movies, like it is on mine, and like I said, it would be on most people's list. So, like we always do, we're gonna run a scoreboard and let you know what we like, what we don't like, and at the end of this video, we are more on the likes than we are on the hates. Then we'll definitely have proved why you don't really hate this movie.
Now, in 2009, this movie came out, and it was actually one of the first spin-offs when they had planned to make spin-offs from the X-Men franchise and create these origin stories.
Yeah.
And I was really excited for it. And one of the things that actually kind of hurt the movie a lot was that it leaked. Mm-hmm. And when it leaked, without the footage and the I mean, not the footage, but the
special effects
and all that good stuff, you know, it kind of just killed the momentum.
Yeah. People got to see an unfinished film.
Yeah, exactly, and it killed the momentum. The anticipation and all that just went away. So I don't really think that the movie got a fair rap, a fair chance actually. And you know what? We're gonna show you why you really don't hate this movie. So scoreboard now. All right, Terrence.
All right.
Now, story-wise, what did you think about the story as far as you know, as a movie? What did you think of the story about it?
Okay, so I know what people are thinking, but I think it had a great story.
I thought it was good too.
I think it had a great story. We opened up in this film doing a whole montage. Well, first of all, we open up in this film giving you some backstory on and I guess let me say it this way. Most people like the whole mysterious nature to Logan, and you don't really know where he came from, why he doesn't have his memory, why he can't remember who he was. But this is a movie that was about origins, so they got to tell you something. So and for the most part, they actually did keep true to the comic books. There were some minute changes with some of the lineage with oh my god, we just got to talk about Deadpool. I apologize for that. With Sabretooth, but they stayed with him when he got his powers, or when he got his mutation, and moved forward and being on the run. And you know, he grew up, you know, back in the early, was it like 1400s, something like that. So he saw basically a nation evolve and change and stuff like that, and they showed it to us. They showed him going through wars. They showed him going through every war.
Yeah, he went through every single war,
and it showed you what it was like to be a man going through time, and how, like, I'm gonna fight for my country, I don't know what else to do but fight, to where I've been doing this for so long, and him seeing younger people being in it, it's just kind of like, it's just an everyday thing at this point. And then getting to a point where, you know, they've done this so long, they don't care about dying. They've died on the battlefield. They've him protecting Sabretooth, because he's gone through all the way through with Sabretooth, and even facing execution, they're like, we can't die, it doesn't really matter. I think that was a great way to start this movie, and the story going through there was based off of that. We even go his lineage into being a Canadian and stuff like that. I think the story was great. I think it was absolutely great. We got to see the evolution of Logan as a character and as a person, and, you know, his motivations going forward into X-Men. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's also part love story, also part revenge tale, also.
So it gives you that kind of a backstory on his emotional mental state as far as with his girl and all that. And because when you look at him in X-Men, he's kind of, with the exception of how he cares for Jean, he's really just straight face. He's not know. And in this, I mean, there's a little humor in him, and his affection for his girl, all that. So all of that was great as far as finding balance between origin, action, and love story. So I thought that was that.
I think the story was great because of that. So
and I think that it actually you kind of had a little bit more empathy for Logan, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when they have that whole play where he was played by her, and he got manipulated with Weapon X, and you feel for Logan every step through, and it was like you understood who he was, you understood what he did, and you understood when people took advantage of him why his motivations were to get revenge. So I mean, it was a great story. Like that's a definite
story. 1-0. We're finally starting out on a good tip. We're always freaking starting out on a bad tip.
I was just gonna say that this is the first video we've made where we actually.
I mean, not in a while. The last two have all started with hates.
I think episodes started with a hate too.
Hey, hopefully our props don't fall off the table this time.
Yeah, we're gonna be not so violent.
All right, so characters. This movie introduces a lot of characters. I mean, it is an origin story, so it introduces a lot of characters in the X-Men world. How did you feel about these characters? Let's talk about them individually as much as we can because there's a lot of them. But how did you feel about them?
Obviously, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. By this point, he has mastered Wolverine. And it's like we've already gone through 3 X-Men films. He's already figured out who Wolverine is as a person, as a character. And by here, it's like he's on like full, I'm invested in it. And that's when we really start seeing him devote to being like the shredded, Wolverine, the cut up Wolverine. But he really, I mean, Hugh Jackman is a great actor. So he really sells us on the emotion of being Wolverine and being Logan and his motive, like I said, his motivations going forward. But also too, we get into Liv Schreiber. Him as Sabretooth, and they kind of teased us Sabretooth in the very first film, in the very first X-Men film, but the way he was portrayed through Liv Schreiber, I'm saying it right? All right. His animalistic nature and his ferocity, even in the fight scenes with Hugh Jackman, and it was like it shows. It was like, by the way, they're keeping him. If they bring back the character as Sabretooth, he's ready to come back as Sabretooth. So I'm like, those two characters by themselves were the main catalyst of this film, and those were the most important parts. We had other characters like Will.i.am's character, but then our major issue is with
hold on, before you get into that,
because I'm going through all the characters.
Yeah, before you get into that, because that's
okay. So let's listen. Go ahead.
Just real quick, I just want to say one thing, and that's that you were absolutely right. Hugh Jackman's already invested himself in Wolverine, but this is the first time you really get to see him as really Logan, before he got shot in the head and all that stuff. So to see him play that character with more vulnerability, with more emotion. I mean, this is like the most emotion that I've ever seen Wolverine in a movie, with the exception of maybe X3, maybe because of Jean, because Jean's turning into Phoenix.
Everybody was wham over Jean in the movie.
But when it comes to the acting, I thought that his acting was actually really good. I thought that Hugh Jackman really showed a lot of emotion as Wolverine. Tyler Mane, who played Sabretooth in the first X-Men, he really wanted to come back, but they wanted to go younger, so they did choose Liv Schreiber, and Liv Schreiber
great choice.
Was amazing. Now the guy can act. So he's a really good actor, and this is this movie actually has some Emmy winners and Golden Globe nominees or something like that. They've won some awards.
Some Grammy ones. Didn't Will.i.am get a Grammy?
You got Will.i.am with the Fugees, so there you go.
No, not the Fugees, Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, Black Eyed Peas, I mean. Who was the Fugees?
You're thinking about Proswell. Not Proswell.
Forget it.
Well, I am thinking
this is the only show that we can talk about Wolverine and bring up the Fugees. Ooh la la la.
Wyclef.
All right.
Yeah, you're thinking about Wyclef, but you mix up your black people.
I'm missing up black people. Okay. Anyway, so I love them both. They did really good. Now speaking of Will.i.am, now he did have he had a pretty cool power actually. I kind of like his teleportation.
And they specifically they wanted to do his teleportation different because it was coming after the whole Nightcrawler teleportation.
Right.
Where Nightcrawler does, everybody knows he does the signature BAMF, the BAMF.
Right.
So and then they show like the little blue material as he disappears and reappears and stuff like that. So they wanted to do his different. And with Will.I.Am's, they just like we're gonna break you down so like you'll skin, muscle, bones gone. So they did that, which was a great way for them to do it. They differentiated the two different teleporters, and his character didn't have a lot of dialogue because Will.I.Am's not really a great actor, but it was enough that he got by, and we didn't get too bogged down to saying like, you're not a great actor. But it was a treat, I guess. It was like, hey, Will.I.Am's in a movie, and he gets to be something kind of memorable. So.
Right, and you know what? We can go on and on with all the characters. Now, the one character, well, you know what? Before we go to touch up on him,
we missed the Lord of the Rings character, dude.
Well, really? You want to talk about him?
Okay, he had a cool power.
Go ahead. Cool power. Hey, this is the first mutant to ever work for Carnival. So.
Oh wait, in the comic books, a lot of mutants work for Carnivals. They were a part of the Carnivals because they were sideshow freaks. So I mean, the Morlocks and stuff like that. But
go ahead. Let's talk about some Lord of the Rings guys.
No, I was just saying. It was like I was surprised to see him in here, and I was like, hey, Lord of the Rings guy.
Nobody cared about him in this one.
But no, it was cool. He had a little power. He controlled everything electronic. It was like, but we were talking about characters. But we want to get to the main characters.
But there's one I want to talk to you about too, right before we get to him. And that's Gambit. This is the first time we actually get to see
we got to see Gambit. How are we going to overlook Gambit?
And Taylor Kitsch is, I thought he was a great Gambit. I would have loved to see him in his own Gambit movie.
Better than
I don't know why they're doing Channing Tatum.
You know why? Because Channing Tatum's a big name, and Channing Tatum will sell the movie by himself. And after the whole John Carter's from Mars, they don't think that Taylor Kitsch can. Taylor Kitsch can carry a movie by himself.
You even get Battleship in there too. I mean, that was a bad movie.
That wasn't his fault. I don't think that was his fault.
It was basically a bad movie. It was bad. But this movie, I mean, this particular movie, Taylor Kitsch was awesome. I really liked him as Gambit. Yeah. He really sold me on that. All right, the elephant in the room. Let's just talk about it now. Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Did a great job as Wade Wilson.
Wade Wilson, he was amazing. He was awesome. That was not Deadpool.
That was and what's funny too is that one of the lines that he says in the movie in Origins, he actually references in the Deadpool movie, where he was like, I always wanted to go see exotic places and meet new people, and then kill them. He does that in Deadpool. He says that exact same line in Deadpool.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was kind of a callback to the original Origin film.
Well, in case you haven't seen any of the good shows or anything like that is actually because the timeline is broken because of X-Men: Days of Future Past. Everything is different now, so so that makes sense on why he would say that. Yeah. This is a completely, I don't even know why we're talking about it, but this particular action figure from Deadpool from Origins is actually in it. And he says it's my prized possession, but he's actually talking about something else. Yeah. It's freaking hilarious. Anyway, okay, well, I'm not gonna get into the.
And that's how great this film was. They made action figures of it.
That's right. That's how good Origins was.
Okay, so then we get to when he makes his transition to Deadpool, which comes very, very late in the film. We don't see Deadpool until the very end of this film. So my whole thing is that people give it so much crap about Deadpool and his incarnation, where they make him Barakapool, and I said that last time, where they have his swords, because obviously Deadpool's signature weapon is his katana blades. So he makes references to him when he's sharpening them on the plane and stuff like that, about showing up at the wedding with a set of katana blades and stuff like that. But they put him in his arms. I have no idea why the director decided to do that. They put it in his arms, they sewed his mouth shut, and they gave him laser beam eyes, I guess, from Scott. Which they make you wonder, they make you think that Scott's dead for some particular reason. So how did he take his power?
And right before he shoots the laser or the they go and they show the Deadpool,
and that was kind of a tease, and they specifically did it because it came out that he wasn't going to wear a mask. And I actually, because I own the thing on film, and one of the directors, they were like they're all smug about it. They were like, yeah, we got the feedback, we know he's not wearing a mask and his signature like triangles on his face, but no, we did it when he does the optic blast, you see it form on his face. And they were so smug about it. I was like, that's what you guys got out of that? We just wanted triangles on his face. But that's not my issue, because I like this movie. The incarnation of that and all the bad things they did wrong with him. The end of the movie. That doesn't take over the place that his characterization of Wade was great. That wasn't bad. Just what they did at the end was bad.
It was bad. Now let me ask you this though. Great characters, great actors playing them, including Ryan Reynolds. Because of that one thing, where is characters on here?
By the way, and you guys can comment down below, and you can tell me why you don't like Deadpool in this movie, and why you hate Wolverine, X-Men Wolverine's Origins, because of Deadpool having his mouth sewn shut. Because I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to say like, oh, he's such a targeted person. We're gonna sew his mouth shut to say that's how we contained him and that's how we controlled him. I get it, but you cannot say one little thing like that ruin how all the other characters. Yeah, you can't. And if you do that, then you're not being fair. You're not being fair in this particular.
Oh man, that's hard for me to be honest with you. It's really hard, especially after seeing Deadpool. It's really hard to give the point to characters.
This is how I say it. If they had cut that out of the movie, and he just fought Sabretooth at the end, you would have liked this movie. That would not even been an issue. If Wade had just disappeared.
Well, we like this movie anyway.
I mean, but I'm just saying, period. If Wade had just disappeared, or we had said that like he got into a fight with Sabretooth and just went on somewhere or something like that, and we didn't see him be killed, there would have been no problem. There's one minor thing it just doesn't. I can't say that it just doesn't. It's something I don't like. Hey, people didn't like it. I was going to say another movie people don't like, but there's a reason they don't like it, because of Cumberbatch not being Khan. And it was like, because they don't see him as Khan. See, you're one of those people, aren't you?
Okay, we're going to save that one. We'll save that one. All right.
That could be one of our next ones.
With the
oh, come on, what's your thing on it?
Oh no, I've already said I don't like. That's the biggest thing that's why I would not give the point to characters.
Okay, so we're gonna call push near here.
Well, I'm gonna with a heavy only because I'm not being fair to Hugh Jackman.
You're not being to Lee Schreiber.
I'm not even being fair to the guy that plays Stryker. So
oh my God, he did a great job.
Or Taylor Kitsch. So I'm gonna give the pass with a heavy heart. I am gonna put like. I'm gonna give the point to like. I'm gonna give
the point comments.
To like
he likes the incarnation of Deadpool and Wolverine.
No, I do not. I do not like. That is the one thing I do not like about this one. Yeah. Wade Wilson was awesome. Yeah. All right, number 3 is visuals. Okay. Now this movie, to be honest with you, it has probably the worst visuals I've ever seen on an X-Men movie. Okay, I'm sorry. There are some good scenes with the mutant powers. And the sister that can turn diamonds. I can't remember what her name is.
Actually, I didn't like her turn. It says Emma Frost.
Emma Frost, yeah. But I'm talking about as far as
the way it looked.
Yeah, the way it looked.
Like it didn't. But they did it better in First Class than what they did in Origins.
But I'm talking in comparison to the rest.
Oh no, I'm saying it's like in Origins, the way they interpreted her powers with turning into diamonds was not really good. They did it better when they did X-Men First Class, when they showed her as a diamond. Like in Origins, they just showed her like there's a diamond here, diamond there, diamond there, diamond there, and they actually.
But I'm talking about just the visual.
Oh yeah, no, I'm saying it's like
the other ones. Okay, so the biggest thing for me was when he was in the farm. And he was in those people's houses, and he was in the restroom.
Oh, and
his claws were animated.
CGI
I freaking flipped. I could not stand it.
Why did his CGI when they've been doing?
They've been doing awesome claws the whole freaking X-Men series.
And they went CGI.
Technically, this is his 4th. Why? What happened? You know what? I got a couple bucks.
I've never seen anywhere where they explain why they did CGI claws on that one. Because they've done realistic props where he just holds onto the little bar and they slide in between his fingers and then they fix it. They'll fix it with the CGI. They'll fix it to make it look like it's coming out of his knuckles, but he's holding onto a little bar that has the claws and he's doing that. And they could have done that in the bathroom, but for some particular reason they decided to go CGI. So yeah, that was some other things with the visuals was that whole fight scene on top of that little, looks like it was the nuclear thing, and they were fighting on that, and the lasers going through it were fine, but like the backdrops looked really, really fake and out of place. You could tell they were on a green screen when they were doing it. but they had some redeeming things, or the gun thing with Agent Zero, when he threw the guns up and had the clips fall into the guns, and so it was kind of hokey. That was kind of. But when you think about that too, you look at stuff like the transition scene in the montage. It was like that whole like going through time transition scene. That was a great effect.
Oh no, I like that a lot. That was good too. But I'm talking about the CGI on
Patrick Stewart was kind of it was Tron Legacy-ish.
But the no, it was not that bad. When Sabretooth is chasing Scott,
and he's running through it.
Like, I did not like that.
They pulled a Blade 2 where he was kind of bouncing off the walls and it was all rubbery. I actually call that a Blade 2. I should call that a Matrix Reloaded, because that is signature of Matrix Reloaded.
Little Agent Smith, little Neo there.
Yeah, they pulled a Matrix Reloaded.
And in the helicopter, when he goes like this, I mean, that was kind of that was okay, but yeah, you could tell that was green screen too, a little bit there. And I hate to say this, but I'm gonna give it a hate on the visuals.
And I will understand the hate on this one, because this one was.
You accept it.
I accept the hate on this one because, and normally times I'll make a fight for CGI because I'll say, based on the time that the movie came out. This came out early 2000s.
2009.
Yeah, or okay, the end of the first part of the 2000 before we got 2010. Okay, but anyway, the technology was there to do better, and they didn't. And since this was the fourth film in the X-Men franchise, and all of them made money, and I think X-Men 3 made the most money.
No, I think X2 did.
You sure? I thought X3 made the most money.
No, I think X3 made the least.
All right, we gotta check that. I'll put it down there. But either way, they hadn't lost any money on this, and this movie didn't suffer from not having a budget.
So why?
Why would they do such crappy CGI on that one? So they do not get a pass.
Cheap ass.
They cheaped out. There was the technology, and they had the money to do CGI correctly on this.
I'm giving it to hate.
Okay, so that's hate.
Hated it.
We're not gonna do. That's not gonna be a thing.
Hated it.
That's not gonna be a thing.
All right. Number 4, the acting.
All right, who are you gonna say was a bad actor in this film?
Who was a bad actor?
Ryan Reynolds, Liv Schreiber,
Hugh Jackman,
Taylor Kitsch. will.i.am was the only bad actor in here.
What about Blob?
I can't remember that guy's name, but that guy's a good actor.
He's okay in this movie.
I mean, he was okay. I mean, what did he really have to say? He talked about the stripper, and then don't call me. Did you call me Blob?
What about the girlfriend?
Oh, she did a good job.
You think so?
Yeah, I thought. What was wrong with what she?
She kind of just a little too robotic at times. I thought
the whole moon story. She didn't sell you on that story.
Well, a little bit.
Like she didn't get you like pulling a
maybe towards the end. Maybe at the end when she comes.
Maybe at the end, like the little backstab thing, and it's like maybe because I think maybe you're just feeling it was like, oh man, you minx, you turned on him.
You minx.
I didn't want to say what I wanted to say. That was my PG word, my you minx.
I think that Hugh Jackman and Liv Schreiber alone, just them two,
they were the majority of the movie.
But I think it's their acting, especially Hugh Jackman, because now I know that he
and then Stryker selling you as the big bad head.
I know that Hugh Jackman is kind of reserved about this movie, and he's kind of like disappointed in how it turned out and all that. But you can tell that he was heavily invested in it.
He was heavily invested in it.
And
he's more disappointed in the fact that the response and how it was.
Yeah. Which is the leak is a big blame. I think the leak was a big blame. But when he was in the pool, in the Deadpool, and he was getting injected with it. I mean, and when he comes out, and all that emotion.
That was a comic book panel right there. When he comes out and you see him with everything. The only thing they missed was that they didn't do the mask that he had on in the whole Weapon X comic book. He had a mask on, and you saw the wires coming off of him when he like that. That's the only thing they missed.
So I mean, but the emotion that he had in that when he lost her, and when he found out that it was Victor killing everybody. I mean, all of that. I mean, to be honest with you, Wolverine was getting screwed over left and right in that movie.
And we wonder why he is who he is.
I was watching it and I was like, man, poor dude, man. Don't know. I'd be pissed off too. Jeez.
And my quasi half brother, screwing me over. The chick I like is screwing me over. The guy I used to work for who says he's gonna help me out, screwing me over. I mean, the only person that didn't screw him over was Wade. It just ended up as a villain at the end. But then I guess you can say he fought me at the end, so he screws me over.
Yeah, and you know what? If he didn't have the bullet, I don't think he would have trusted Xavier. If he wouldn't have gotten shot in the head, I don't think he would have trusted Xavier to go to school. I don't think he would have done any of that because he'd been screwed over so many times. He did trust Gambit though, so And that was a
little out of
a gamble there, but
they kind of threw Gambit in there, but I understand why they threw him in there because people have been begging for Gambit for like the longest in the first 3 movies. It's like, oh, when you give us Gambit, when you give us Gambit.
Jean-Claude Van Damme as Gambit.
That'd have been awesome. That'd have been awesome.
All right, so what are we giving the acting?
Acting's gonna like.
Acting's gonna like. All right.
I had a problem with was Will.i.am, but then he had like 5 lines, and what am I gonna say with 5 lines?
All right. Number 5, action sequences. Now, this movie actually has some pretty good action sequences. Like Terrence was talking about earlier, as far as the montage in the beginning, awesome. All of that was awesome.
Exactly. The fight with Sabretooth when he comes back, when he comes to Canada to look for him.
In the bar?
At the bar. When he was like, do you have insurance?
Yeah.
And they tear the bar apart and they go fight out in the train yard or at the train tracks, and when he steps on his claws and breaks them up, man, that was awesome.
And all the logs fall over.
Yeah, that fight scene was, they spent money there, but then they didn't spend money on claws. Beyond me. So that fight scene was fine. Like I said, the attack on the building in Africa, that fight scene was fine. The war scenes, the fight scenes were great. The action scenes are great. The only part where we fall out was when they got to the CGI with Deadpool. Deadpoolish.
Because the fight with Gambit was good too.
Yeah, the fight with Gambit was fine.
And the fight
with Will.i.am and Sabretooth was fine too when he killed Will.i.am.
When he fights with Blob. That was awesome too.
That was funny actually. Blob's little fat suit was a little weird, but hey, it was funny.
So yeah, I thought the action sequences was good, barring some of those visuals that kind of threw everything off. But yeah, even when he was stopping himself, when he does that turn in the motorcycle, when he stops himself with his blades, that was an awesome sequence.
Yeah, and you were like, whoa, you're into this,
and he flies towards the freaking helicopter.
And he jumps off, and
it was awesome.
Those were well scripted.
Yeah, they were good action sequences. The only thing that hindered it were the visuals on it. But you know what? It's not enough for us to take it away from hate or take it away from like. So guess what? Like.
This movie's killing it. Killing it.
4-1, ladies and gentlemen.
Killing it. This is the landslide right here.
So far.
You love this movie.
So far. All right. Number 6 is the costumes.
And this is where we went downhill.
And this is... You all been bragging, and now we're gonna get slaughtered right now. Slaughtered? Yeah, we're gonna get slaughtered now. The costumes were mediocre at best. I mean, they weren't the best in the world.
The closest thing we got was Wade Wilson's Deadpool outfit, and then they threw it in the trash when they actually got to Deadpool.
Yeah, it was not.
Wolverine wore a jacket, which obviously they weren't gonna. It was before the X-Men, so they weren't gonna give us the spandex for him, but. I guess you could say prequel with Sabretooth. Why would you be wearing the fur with the fur mink little neck piece and stuff like that? His fur boa that he is getting there. It's like, so I guess I get it because we're talking prequel here. They wouldn't have these particular costumes, but the only one. I guess Gambit was wore a trench coat, but he didn't wear that weird thing, that weird purplish thing up under that he normally wears.
But when it comes to just the closest that we came to great costume was him. He was the only one. He was the only one.
He was the closest thing.
So for costumes,
I don't think that was enough. I mean, we had so many characters have iconic costumes, and they didn't really. They just said, "Screw it, we're not going to do anything." And I think that's Bryan Singer's fault because he set that precedent that we don't have to do these costumes. And now I thank Bryan Singer for now actually doing costumes. Except he's still not doing X-Men costumes in Apocalypse. He did Psylocke's costume. He did Magneto's costume better. Apocalypse, but he just refuses to put the X-Men in spandex. He refuses to do it, but
because he's trying to modernize it a little bit.
I know, but they're showing us that we want the costumes. Deadpool proved that we want costumes.
I don't want spandex.
They can do it better. Okay, so Negasonic Teenage Warhead, you didn't like her costume?
That wasn't spandex.
That's what we want. That's all we want. That's an X-Men costume. That's a comic book X-Men costume.
She was wearing a first class costume.
But that's what they wore. They wore that blue. They wore blue and yellow.
Okay.
They wore blue and yellow. Her costume, they did black, but in the comic book it was blue where they put the black. That's all we want. In First Class they did it, but that wasn't Bryan Singer. He didn't do that movie.
Well, which one? X-Men? The Wolverine?
First Class. He didn't do First Class.
Matthew Vaughn did.
That's the only time we got costumes. Bryan Singer refuses to do X-Men in costumes. He won't do it. He won't do it.
And after all that, the answer is still hate.
Hate. We want costumes. We want costumes.
Number 7 was the music. Now, in all honesty, I don't think that the music is really was that instrumental in this. No,
once again, if you don't remember a song from the movie, the music was unimportant.
Yeah, it was. So, it was just there. I mean, it wasn't nothing to be all. Oh, yeah, you know, I want that song.
What's Wolverine's theme song?
Huh?
What's Wolverine's theme song?
Exactly.
Man, Wolverine. If he has one, I have no idea what the hell that song is. What's Sabretooth's theme song? I don't know. What's Deadpool's theme song?
It's gonna give it to you.
And we didn't get that theme song into another film. So the music was not really. It wasn't. The only thing was the montage music was the only one that I remember. And then I'm trying to pull it back in my head right now, and I really can't. But I remember at the time it built up in the scene, and it kind of kept you engaged in what was going on. To be honest, now that I'm thinking about it right now, it almost seemed like it was a remixed old X-Men from the original trilogy song. It seemed like it was that. But I mean, the music was that's
hated it.
So where we at right
guess
now?
What? The winner is like 4-3.
Just when we were killing it, we were just barreled down the hill.
Yeah, but that's all right because usually we start the other way around and we start out like crap.
It's kind of like one of those times where a team's blowing another team out, and then they got to get a last second jumper to win the game.
Yep. But either way, you know what? Just goes to show that this movie has a lot of good qualities.
A lot of redeeming factors in this film. You don't hate this movie. There's so many things that you take away with it, and I will stress right now the reason why you don't hate this movie, because one, you remember all these great things, and because the character of Deadpool, which people hate so much, was so beloved as Wade Wilson with Ryan Reynolds. That's the reason why we got this film. So you love Deadpool in this film. You just didn't like the interpretation of him at the end.
No, you love Wade Wilson. You love Wade Wilson. You hate Deadpool in it. But to T's point, I can guarantee you that now that Deadpool is actually a success, a lot of people are going to start looking back at this particular movie just to see what everybody's talking about as far as hate, and hopefully they run into our video that shows why you don't hate this movie.
Nah, you don't. Nah,
Terrence, take it home.
Okay, so I say this a lot, and I'm gonna change it up this time, because what I want to know in this particular film, first and foremost, like, comment, subscribe. We always say that, and we really mean it when we say, because we want you to do that. We want to know what you guys think. We want to know that you guys are part of our community. If you subscribe, you know when any videos come out and when we actually upload them, so you'll get them the minute they come up to bat. But also too, commenting is really important, because we can keep picking films that we like, that we know people don't specifically like, but I almost kind of want to make a challenge now. I want you to give me a film that you don't like, and not one we picked. Give us a film that you don't like so we can defend why you really don't hate this film. And like I said, I'm okay to take a loss on this show. If we can't defend it, then I'll own up and say, okay, yeah, you really hate this film.
Please don't pick Batman and Robin.
Now you're gonna make them pick that. Why would you say that? You're gonna make them pick that. But the point is that I want you guys to be involved in the process. So tell me which film you don't like, and if it's a good one, I'm like, ooh, that's good. We'll try to defend it, and like I said, if we don't do it, then we didn't do our job. But then you can hold that head and say, yeah, I really hate that film, and there's nobody that can prove that I didn't. So that being said, that's all I got.
I'm Manny.
I'm Terrence.
See you next time.
All right.
Tony, turn that shit out.
All right, turn it out right now.
She's in.
Like I literally breathed to say action. I was like,
oh, it's not even her.
That's what's advertising.
why do y'all hate me?
It was Wayne. He was asking about the damn video.
Okay.
All right. Go.
Again.